Haiti, the transition was made as Prime Minister to Ariel, who took over from Claude Joseph as the maximum authority of the Caribbean nation. Tunisia is facing its worst coronavirus surge since the pandemic began, further stressing the North African country's already crowded hospitals and health systems. An attack on the acting president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, during a Muslim ritual linked to the feast of Eid al-Adha in the Great Mosque on Bukamo was punctured on Tuesday. Welcome to TeleSUR English. I am Denise Herrera and this is from the South. In Haiti, the transition was made as Prime Minister to Ariel Henry, who assumed from Claude Joseph as the maximum authority of the Caribbean nation. The new Prime Minister Ariel Henry thanked all the members of the outgoing cabinet and took the opportunity of paying a minute of silence in honor of the President Jovenel Moïse. In this regard, Henry thanked all the countries that collaborated in the investigation of these assassinations. On his administration, he assured that he is ready to engage in dialogue with the all sectors of Haiti to develop the economic and boost the nation's growth. The new Prime Minister of Haiti, Ariel Henry, stresses during his first address that his predecessor, Claude Joseph, selected him because he considered him someone who can dialogue with all sectors of the country.
I do not think that our Prime Minister chooses me as a person who can do miracles, but I believe that he saw in me a Democrat, a person who can speak with the whole sector of national life.
In relation to the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, the new Prime Minister of Haiti affirmed that justice will be enforced on the same theme and thanking the collaboration of the different countries participating in this investigation.
Asian justice is going. The nation is not expecting such people. We must never relive this drama again. We are thanking the sister nations who are helping us in that search, in that investigation.
Each time the new elements appear in the investigation of the assassination in Haiti, it puts the spotlight also on the Haitian politicians and business elites in the Latin American ultra-right.
Now, it is easier to understand the image of these cars after Colombian hired killers reduced their policemen without much difficulty. Just a few hours before, the assassination was already consummated. Just 2 kilometers up the same road, the mercenaries did not seem to have been stampeding or on the run. Here, the mercenaries ask a local journalist not to take pictures. They allow passage, and recording continues of the 6 vans used during a private military operation. In one of them, the police would later find the stolen loot and the hard disk with the crime images still undeveloped. One of the Haitian Americans of the commando appears to be waiting calmly. The commando was instructed to wait calmly, but with whom was one of the operations recruiters coordinating their departure? The current image of the house that served as a refuge, owned by an ally of President Jovenel Moïse, shows the clashes after the arrival of security forces. But essential questions remain to be answered. Who ordered 2 weeks earlier to kill everyone in the presidential residence and then agreed with CTU security to assassinate only Mr. President? Once the facts were consummated, the mercenary contractor did not answer any more calls and put padlocks on its corporate social networks. CTU security is registered as Academia Federal Unidad contra el Terrorismo, with Arcángel Preter Ortiz as one of its members, a former member of the Colombian Army, a native of Cali and resident of Florida. The main owner is Tony Intriago, a migrant of Venezuelan origin who championed among the elites of the Latin American alt.
In a statement to TeleSUR, Maximiliano Reyes, Undersecretary of Mexico for Latin America and the Caribbean, indicated that his country intends to promote multilateralism in the community of Latin America and the Caribbean states to address the problems afflicting the region.
Mexico, what it was wanted to do with CELAC is to do it a multinational agency for regional cooperation where issues and political or ideological differences are not touched and which allow us to move in trying to help solve the problems of the region.
Reyes added that the proclamation of Pedro Castillo as President of the Republic in Peru respected democracy and the will of the people in that country.
This meant that democracy triumphed because the popular will was favored and because of what we have seen so far. If there are ideological contradictions with them, we are going to wait for his government to assume to continue strengthening our bilateral relationship and good if progressivism wins a new country in the region.
In Mexico, the Congress of the state of Veracruz approved the interruption of the pregnancy until the 12th week of gestation, becoming the fourth Mexican state to adopt these measures. With 25 votes in favor, 3 against, and 1 abstention, the Congress of Veracruz approved the legislative initiative that amends the local penal code to allow the right to legal abortion until 12 weeks of gestation. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel urged to prioritize attention to social programs in the country. The president made this statement during a meeting in the government of Group for the Control of COVID-19. Díaz-Canel pointed out that state institutions must be prepared to respond to the demands of the popular sectors. He also insisted in the need to strengthen the economic and guarantee the population's access to basic rights such as education, science, culture, and social security.
The economy must be strengthened, focusing constantly on prosperity, developing social programs more efficiently and broadly, education, science, culture, sports, security, and social services. And we must define ways of how we are going to protect the most vulnerable and promote a culture that provides a true quality of care and of all the services provided to the population.
Colombian gathered in Bogotá in fresh protests against the government of President Iván Duque. The demonstrations come as the country celebrates its Independence Day, with protesters seeking to resume an anti-government campaign. Thousands of people arrived at the different meeting points in Bogotá, one of the main centers of the demonstrations against President Iván Duque that broke out on April 28 and have been going on since with more intense days than the others. The National Strike Committee, which gathers unions, students, indigenous and social organizations, called for marches and rallies to main cities of the country after having temporarily suspended. Then this on June 15. Almost a dozen cities imposed night curfews to avoid disturbances. Well, take a short break now, don't go away. Welcome back. Tunisia is facing its worst coronavirus surge since the pandemic began, further stressing the North African country's already crowded hospitals and health system. The pressure of new cases and hospitalizations has forced some regions to go back into lockdown and have pumped waves of donations of vaccines or medical aid from China, France, Turkey, Italy, the United Arab Emirates, and Algeria. Some hospitals have been forced to transfer COVID-19 patients to other hospitals as supplies become limited. Tunisia has appealed international for help, with the response being that aid has been arriving from countries both near and far.
We have a fraternal relationship with our Egyptian brothers, especially in the health field. These subsidies and gifts enable us to develop our healing capabilities and to investigate and to treat patients with coronavirus. It is a veritable air bridge being run by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the benefit of Tunisia in this critical period. We are so happy as the aid is of great value and high quality, from advanced German and American-made equipment and quantities of vaccines.
Authorities of the French government announced Monday that the European country is now facing the fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is stronger and has a faster impact due to the predominance of the Delta strain of the virus. Government spokesperson Gabriel Attal said that the country has registered a sudden and accelerated increase in the rate of incidence of the virus, something that has no cure since the beginning of the pandemic. Attal recalled the government was taking all measures to ensure that this new wave will not become more devastating. The Indonesian government has decided to extend the emergency community activity restrictions to July 25 as the country is still fighting the second wave of COVID-19. The emergency restrictions, which include a ban on dining-in services at restaurants and mandates to work from home for workers in non-essential sectors, were initially implemented on the country's most populated island, Java, and the resort island of Bali from July 3 to July 20. The restrictions were later expanded to 15 other regions that saw a surge in the new cases of COVID-19. The pandemic has spread to all the country's 34 provinces, and the more transmissible virus Delta variant has contributed to the surge in the COVID-19 cases in some of the country's regions. As virus infections surge in the Japanese capital, International Olympic Committee Communication Director Mark Adam stated that the committee has worked to reduce it as far as possible.
We understand concerns. These are difficult times, but I think we'd like to reassure them again that everything is being done. I mean, today I think the latest figure is we've had nearly 30,000 tests at the airport of staff, and all those staff and athletes, all stakeholders. Each of those nearly 30,000 people has been tested twice before they even arrive. So all those people have had 3 tests that is going on. And the isolation and the playbooks are very, very strict indeed. Is there zero risk? There can never be zero risk, but we have reduced it as far as we think is humanly possible.
Peru's government announced that the acquisition of 20 million doses of Sputnik vaccine is expected to arrive in the country in the coming months. President Francisco Sagasti announced the consolidation of an agreement with the Russian Fund with Cuba Vaccine, a subsidiary of Russian Direct Investment Fund, for the purchase of 20 million doses of Sputnik against COVID-19 vaccine. Peruvian Health Ministry authorities said that in the next month it is expected to send 10 million treatments that includes component 1 and 2 of the Russian immune system. According to WHO data, Peru recorded more than 2 million infected and almost 2,000 deaths as a result of the COVID-19. In Cuba, 3 municipalities in the province of Matanzas are very close to complete vaccination against COVID-19 with the domestically produced Abdala. Authorities explained that the vaccination program is nearing completion in the municipalities of Cárdenas and Colón, where more than 235,000 citizens will be immunized with the domestically produced vaccine. A few weeks ago, the municipality of Los Arabos also started the program, so they expect to continue opening new vaccination centers in other municipalities. With a call for solidarity, love, and the elimination of the blockade, the Cuban Solidarity Movement in the United States held a press conference to reconfirm the commitment to the island and announce the successful campaign to send 6 million vaccinations surgeons to Cuba. At the meeting, which took place at the Embassy of the Republic of Cuba in Washington, D.C., members of the movement spoke about the campaign to collect funds for the purchase of syringes that were recently sent to Cuba in support of the fight against COVID-19. Likewise, group member Medea Benjamin noted that they will continue to collect funds to send not only syringes but medicines and medical supplies as a sign of how many people in the U.S. want to help the Cuban people. More story coming up. Stay with us. back. An attack on the acting president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, during a Muslim ritual linked to the feast of the Eid al-Adha in the Great Mosque of Bagamo, authorities on Tuesday. In the morning hours of this Tuesday, two people tried to stop the inter-president of Mali, Assimi Goïta. Authorities stated it was after the breakdown while the imam was heading towards the exit of the mosque to lead the ship that attempted stabbing took place. After the incident, Goïta was removed from the place apparently unharmed. After the incident, Goïta was removed from the place apparently unharmed.
All is fine, no problem. These things are part of the job when you are a leader, when you command people. There are some who are discontented. There are people who try at any time to do these kind of things to destabilize. It was an isolated incident that has been brought under control. I reassure the nation and international community that I am fine. There is no problem. No one was hurt. It was dealt with. I call on the people of Mali for cohesion and to our partner also.
The Palestinian Hamas movement called on the Islamic community to encourage resistance in response to recent Israeli attacks on Syria and Lebanon. The Palestinian resistance movement stated that the attacks perpetrated by the Tel Aviv against Syria and Lebanon represent an intimidatory action against the entire region. The hostilities are taking place in the context of the Islamic holiday of Eid al-Adha, which marks the last day of the rituals of the annual Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. The Islamic organization spokesman pointed out that a broader resistance in the Islamic world, using all its powers and capabilities, is the only way to stop Tel Aviv's aggressions. Muslims around the world are celebrating the Eid al-Adha religious holiday, which in Arabic means the festival of the sacrifice. This festival marks the end of Hajj, the 5-day pilgrimage Muslims undertake to cleanse the soul and sins and instill a sense of equality and brotherhood. The day is marked with the sacrifice of an animal, usually a goat, sheep or cow, and the distribution of the meat among neighborhoods, family members and the poor. At least 12 dead are reported in Shenzhou floods and evacuated in China. The death toll from deadly floods in China, Shenzhou, has risen to 12 as the capital of central Henan province witnesses the most severe rainstorms on record. This came as southern Henan's capital, Shenzhou, witnesses a rainstorm that broke all history records, and the Goixiaxun Dam near to the city collapsed at 1:30 a.m. local time. China's central government has upgraded the nationwide flood control emergency response level from level to level 2 on Wednesday, according to the relevant provision of the state emergency plan for flood control and drought relief. Russian President Vladimir Putin held on Tuesday a meeting with his Azerbaijan counterpart Ilham Aliyev in Moscow, where he thanked all compromise of the Azerbaijan president towards the settlement with Armenia to end last year's conflict over disputed Nagorno-Karabakh.
One of the most important issues remains the settlement of the situation in the region. I know that you pay great attention and importance to this. I would like to thank you for finding compromises. It's always the most difficult thing. But if we seek, and we all seek, the settlement, we need to follow this path. And up to the present, we have managed to do it.
U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry said in London that although China and U.S. have many differences, both nations must lead the way in the climate crisis.
So it is imperative that we, the United States, the second biggest emitter, and China, and the rest of the world, are all pulling together in the same direction in this critical effort. In a remarkably short, the best opportunity that we have to secure a reasonable climate future is for China and the United States to work together. And the best way to do so is to lay out specific, ambitious, near-term reduction goals and back them up with serious policy and work together to set an example to the world of where we need to go and how we can get there.
We have come to the end of this new brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media for TeleSUR English. I am Denise Herrera. Thank you for watching.